special, memorable readings, events? Are there certain ones that really stick out for you?
Wow, there's so many. It's hard, to think about. We've had our, Legends of the Mad Poets kind of events, like the bonfires, and things like that. And that's a good one. I remember a couple of bonfires that were just magical, if I could use that. Dan McGuire was there one time. He brought some friends, and they were playing banjo under the stars, and they were reading a poem written through the eyes of a Civil War soldier. Different things. We had harmonica out there. It was just, you just didn't want the night to end. We were out there for the wee hours. That's why we no longer do it with the Boy Scouts, because they hate us. Because we keep the guitars going till 1 a.m, and they would come over and say, "We have to be up early." We'd say, "Yeah, it's a shame." I'm awful sorry. What key is that in? So yeah, but that is just, to me, I'm an outdoor person, and I love being outside and having that bonfire going and the stars going and hearing around that, the crackling. It's somebody standing up in the semi-darkness and reading poetry. Oh my God. It doesn't get better than that, We had a woman show up, never saw her again, never saw her before, showed up one night that we were in a bonfire, and she was an actress, and she did the Cremation of Sam McGee, a service poem, a Robert service. And it's about the guy jumping in the fire. It's a fabulous poem, and she did the whole thing like it was a play right in front of us. It was just like, wow! I have died and gone to heaven, and this is what it is like. I still remember lines of a poem that a 12th grader wrote at the Young Poets Competition. Got up and said them, and I'll never forget them. And it was a kid. It was a 12th grader at Haverford High School, and she won first prize. And it says, "There is a reckless joy in creation, and that is why the poet's hand is never still."
Wow.
A 12th grader. But that's really the kind of thing that makes, it's like being the Pied Piper of poets or something. I'm like, oh, if I play my little music, will you people come and read your poems to me? You know what I mean? It's just like, maybe if I, throw this party every once in a while, you people will come over and show me what you got there and tell me your viewpoint and share your stuff. I have not read on my own slate. I won't book myself. I feel guilty taking up a spot that belongs to someone else. You know what I mean? Because I have control of that schedule, So it's kind of like, this isn't for me. I don't read at my own readings.
I've always been conscious of the fact that you feel that way about it, and
I'm not judgmental about it.
No, but about yourself as far as that goes, and I just think that we have missed a lot of you because of your sensitivity about that.
That's so sweet.
I think you've sacrificed a lot of your own poetry for the sake of other people's poetry, and I'm not sure that you've been even-handed in that. I don't think you've been fair to yourself, to put it true.
I always think of it as, first, if you are in a lot of readings, it's funny because I don't believe this when I hear other people, but I believe it about myself. Like, if I read a poem that you guys have heard, I'm like, wow, they've heard this 4 million times. But although
every time you hear it, you hear more nuances, and there's something else you hear in it, if it's a good poem.
That's so nice.
I think it's natural to feel like that. I think we all, I've read this 1 million times, but yeah, if you heard someone else read one of theirs for 1 million times, that's fine.
Like, I will ask you to do 3 a.m. commercial every time I read it.
I already have it ready for Wednesday. I know you're going to ask me, so.
And I'm sorry, I know that you don't want to be identified as the humor guy. You know what I mean? And I get it, because I'm like, I want to be the domestic girl.
Well, that's why I brought that up earlier.
It's
because I feel like I'm
pigeonholed.
Pigeonholed. Yeah, exactly.
But you know what?
And I don't think any of us want to be pigeonholed.
No, but it's funny because I realize that when I see it with other people, it's like, that, why should you not, what are we saying? Like, we don't want to see Van Gogh's painting anymore because it's been, like, printed 4 million times? That's a work of art. Yeah. That poem is killer. And you shouldn't retire it just because you feel people have heard it. So, knowing that, it's funny how I feel like this. but I do. It's
and
like
I think we're all in the same
yeah.
the same boat.
Yeah, so I always think.
And I think you guys should get over that. As a non-poet,
Yeah.
I love
It's an
hearing.
honor
I
to
love
be
hearing.
invited
I
to
love
read.
hearing Mike's poets and poems, and then
Yes.
each time I'll say, "Oh, I never paid attention to that line
Yeah,
before."
or it slipped by somehow.
And then, and if you get, and I get to know them so well that I can repeat them. Or part of them.
right,
I
or you
love
know
that.
what's coming.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you know what's coming. And it's and Frank, I asked Frank to make decisions. I'll lay him out and say, this is the funny, this is the nature, this is the whatever the
Right.
categories are. Pull out a mix of these.
That's what
And
Connie
he
does
does
for
well,
me.
and he
too,
does-
yes.
and he does a wonderful
You need
job.
somebody, because you know what's funny? Like, you ask me for a poem all the time, and I never ever read it. And I thought, why don't you read it? And it's the one about the ghost at Mount St. Miguel. And it's this prison that's a mile from the land. And the tide would go out, and you could walk to the beach. But when the tide came in, it was a rocky, you weren't getting to that. So, and the tide came in fast, and there was always a legend that a woman would walk out to talk to her lover through the bars or whatever,
And she was
and she was swept away when the tide came, and I did a poem about that, veiled lady, when will you sleep? And I talk about seeing her on the sand, walking across the sand or whatever, and people saw that apparition, which I thought was such a fascinating story. So I wrote a poem about it, but I don't know whether I don't like the poem, or I don't feel it's strong, or so you're not always the best judge.
I've seen Mike read
Yeah.
the same poem to one audience and get an amazing reception, and then the same poem to another audience, and they don't seem particularly interested.
It's funny how that is,
Yeah,
isn't
the
it?
audience-
It's funny how that is.
And I
I've
guess
seen
what
that.
comes before and after makes a big difference. Who's what, the mood they're in,
Yeah,
how much
yeah,
they've
yeah.
had to drink makes a difference.
Always know better.
Yeah.
They're all happy. They're ready to hear you. But yeah, I've noticed that too. For audience purposes, we were talking about audience earlier. If there were some issues we talked about how important it is to think about how you line up.
What's
your
the
reading.
order of
What's the order? And there's a lot to be said for that. Personally, I want to start out with something funny, because if I get up there and I make little jokes and I start with something funny, everybody's sort of got a sense of comfort. I think humor does that. It crosses barriers. You're laughing and you didn't mean to be laughing. You know what I mean?
Once you've got them laughing, sometimes they have a tendency to think, well, the next one's going to be funny too, and they keep laughing even though it's not a funny poem.
Yeah. You know
So
what? That's delivery.
what do you do to?
I think that's delivery.
That's delivery. Okay.
I think that's delivery, because when you can give them the cue so that they feel comfortable about it. Because I will say, like, I've read you the one about the paralegal poet, and then I flip it, I realize the next one is going to be, growing up with a vengeance or something, and I'll say, boy, I was pissed off when I wrote this poem. You know what I mean? Or
okay.
I'll make
Yeah,
a small
okay.
comment
A
that's
comment
a
that's
cue
letting them
that's
know.
coming, or
Yeah.
that's not, doesn't seem to be a big comment, but it's giving you an idea that this isn't going to be, you're laughing and holding your sides about, the plane going down, a guy make the jokes about, was the pilot drinking Bloody Marys for breakfast? Hope not. So, something's coming, and maybe, strap on your safety belt.